what happens when I've done my meditation in the morning, I've been for my run, done my yoga, journaling, positive affirmations, my gratitude list, and then later in the day the shizzle hits the fan. I'm triggered to bleep, and basically it all goes down the pan. What happens then? Do all of these things have a purpose? Definitely they do. All of these techniques are great. I do them sometimes. I've done them a lot in the past. But the work that I'm interested in and where I'm here to serve is in that where the rubber hits the road moment, where everything just goes to pot. I lose my head, I lose my rag, I feel horrible, and nothing makes sense, and it's just that moment of being triggered. What happens then in that moment? That's what I'm interested in. That's what I work with. In my experience, all of those lovely things, all of those great techniques do not help me in that moment where everything just goes to pot. In my experience, they may smooth out some edges, but they don't deeply help me in the way that something else does. So what I bring, the techniques, teachings, and with feeling, understanding and knowing that I bring, works because it works at a sub-base level. It works not in a mind, not in a thinking level, not in a what's the best thing to say, how can I be positive, how can I not do this, how can I remember to do that, how can I forget to not do this, do that, and then my brain just goes and I short circuit. But what I'm bringing through doesn't work at this level, because I personally know that at this level I cannot troubleshoot when something happens to crash and become a trigger. It's not effective fully 100% to solve the problem in that moment, because in that moment there isn't time. There isn't even a millisecond of time to think what to do. It just all happens like this. And what I'm bringing through works under the ground, it works under the ocean, sub-base, it works in a different intelligence, it works in a different dimension. I believe that I cannot problem solve and conflict resolve at the level of the mind, at the level where the problem was caused. Like Einstein says, I have to go to a different level, and that's what I do. So I just wanted to offer that, because in my experience, all of that stuff, and it's good stuff and it works for other things, but in the moment of glory, in the moment when push comes to shove, or when the shizzle hits the fan, everything just goes to pot. And then this is the thing, this is what my heart feels deep compassion about, because what happens is, in a moment of challenge, when I didn't bring out my best self, when I didn't say the right thing, when I didn't do the right thing, when I just got crazy, or when I just brought out my least redeeming features, the saddest thing of all for me, and this is what breaks my heart, is that I've gone and judged myself and made myself wrong. And I've gone and hated on myself because I didn't manage that situation well. And I wasn't my best self, and I wasn't good and best and better and bigger and bigger and bigger and slimmer. I wasn't all of that. I didn't excel in that situation. So then in private, I go off and I criticize myself and I hate on myself. And this breaks my heart because I'm interested in not doing that. I mean, I personally don't do that anymore, but this is what I used to do. And how is that helpful? There's another way. There's another way, because when it all goes wrong, the you-know-what hits the fan, the rubber meets the road. My tendency is going to be to avoid myself, to deny myself, to pretend everything's fine, and then to act out on addictions, on drink, on food, on overworking, on being busy, on all of these things, but anything to avoid myself, anything to avoid what's really here. And I'm interested in what's really here, because that's where the gold is. That's where the diamond mine is. And that's, see, what makes me so incredibly challenged and frustrated is nobody else can see this. Nobody else can see what I can see. I just see pure light in every situation, because there is light. I just need to know where to look. So what I'm offering and bringing through and launching on Tuesday, May the 4th, I always get this wrong. May the force be with you. I'm launching on Tuesday a life-changing, game-changing, transformational adventure that works on another level, on a sub-base other level, because in my experience and in my knowing, all of that good stuff, if it worked, why are these things still happening? And there are so many things happening in the world that I do not like, that I cannot control, that I'm powerless against. I am. But there is a whole world of everything that I do have power over, because that power is me, is my light. So what I've learned with my life's journey is just that the way that I was looking at things and doing things according to everything that I'd learned never worked for me. And I just silently went and made myself wrong and beat myself up and spoke very unkindly to myself. I stopped that years ago, but what breaks my heart is that some people do that. And my mission is to really invite people not to do that, because there's no need to do that, because there is another way, and it always works. And I can guarantee that, because it always works for me, and it's a way of knowing what's going on. There are 3 elements to a challenge, to a trigger, to a conflict. There are 3 elements. One is diagnostics, diagnosing what the bleeps is going on. Because in that moment of challenge, usually it doesn't look like anything's happening, in my experience. What is being presented to me is not, most of the time in my experience, what's really going on. So number 1, diagnostics, what the bleep's going on. Number 2, what's going on for me. Number 3, whoops. Number 3, what do I need to do? What do I need to communicate? And if this situation happens in a nanosecond, I don't have time to think and go, right, what's going on? How am I feeling? What do I need to say? Be polite, don't cause any harm. It's too much busy work. And in the tarot cards, this would be the 9 of Swords, overthinking and really feeling in a really victimized, cornered situation, because that's how I feel if I don't have resources. But I want to give you the resources that I have found. I want to give you them because I care about stopping suffering, and this stops suffering. What a beautiful mission that I'm on. see you next Tuesday, May the 4th. I'm going to launch a life-changing program. So may the force be with you always.